Hi, welcome everybody to Grief Reflection Discussions on Parental Bereavement with Natalie Himmelrich and Carly Dudley. We want to welcome you today or tonight, wherever you are, and just say that we're sorry for your losses. And having said this, we just want to remember that the reason why we're all here is because you're wanting to move forward and because you're taking a step by being here today. So as we always start, Carly will light a candle. So I'll hand over to you, Carly.
Thanks, Natalie. For those people who haven't joined us before, we always light a candle at the beginning of each conversation, and that is to just honour all the babies that we have been brought together by. Put that up there. Okay, we didn't really discuss this, Natalie, but do you want to start tonight, or would you like me to?
Yeah, I'll just say something in general. So today's topic is helping children through grief. And some of you might have children that have lost their sibling while they were already older, so they might be aware of it. Some might have been at an age that they weren't really fully conscious of it, or some of your children have been born after you lost your child. And we also want to include how children grieve in general, because this might be suitable for people who have children dealing with the loss of their father, their mother, their grandparents, and so forth. So, you know, to broaden that doesn't just have to be a sibling. So even though we might talk about sibling, please be looking at also if your child is grieving for something or someone else. And something, I mean, there's other things that children have strong reactions of grief and loss in relation to. And so, you know, to start this, we had a few questions and topics around how to deal with children at different ages in their development. And just before we started this segment, I've actually posted something on Facebook on my author page. So that's Natalie Himmelrich, Natalie with a TH. I'll put the link underneath this video so you'll find it as well, where I've put an excerpt from the book Grieving Parents Surviving Loss as a Couple, where I discuss or actually describe the different children at different ages from the infant to 12 and above, and what their likely responses are, and also how you can help them. So for all of you who have wondered, what shall I do with my infant, with my 4 to 6 year old, or have a look at that and see how you go with that. This is just a guideline, and what we also discussed before, Carly and me, is that, you know, each dynamic between a parent and a child is very individual, and so it is you, and I want to encourage you as a parent to know your child and to do the best that you can with knowing your child and reacting to that. Now, Carly, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience, given that, you know, I was sharing with Carly before that my personally experienced reality is that I have a surviving twin who lost her twin. So I don't have a lot of conversations with her as yet. She's 3 years old. However, my experience just goes back to when I was a primary teacher and children were dealing with grief in general, not necessarily of loss of a sibling, but other grief-related things. So that's where my experience with children come from. But personal experience, I haven't a lot of experience in that. So Carly, do you want to talk a little bit of how you deal with your girls and the loss of Christian and what you do and say?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 3 other daughters, and they were, so Scarlett was almost 1 when Christian was born, so she didn't really understand what was going on, but she just knew that, you know, her routine had kind of been a bit upset, and that, you know, we were very upset. So she was, I suppose she was kind of confused, and Scarlett's had quite a few health issues, and her speech was quite impaired, so she couldn't really communicate to us, and her comprehension just wasn't there. So she just didn't understand what was happening. I wouldn't even say she would know that, you know, we were expecting another baby at that point. So we decided from pretty much.
Brief reflection, discussions on parental.
Sorry, we've got some feedback happening. I think it's gone now. Sorry, yeah. So we decided from when Scarlett was young that we would not hide Christian from her, and we just started telling her about him straight away, so that she kind of grew up knowing about Christian, and that it didn't come to her when she was 5 or 6 years old and she wouldn't find out then and have this terrible thing to deal with at that age. So she's always grown up knowing about her brother. She has a ton of questions, and so does her other sisters, none of which we felt we couldn't answer. The one that we obviously couldn't answer was why, and we were just honest with her. We said, we don't, sometimes things like this happen and we don't know why. So we've been very lucky. I have quite a few friends that have lost children at 5, 6, 7, and 8 years old, and their siblings obviously go from having, they have their brother or their sister, and then all of a sudden they don't, and they go through hell like we all do. And so the thing that I would want to get across is to seek professional help. If you're really worried or you don't know what to do, I would seek professional help. You may only need 1 or 2 visits, and the counsellor or the psychologist or whoever you go to see, they might just be able to give you the tools to get your child through this as well. It's very valuable, not just for the child but for you. So it's always a very delicate situation when children are involved. But I think with my girls, we're honest with them. They have seen us upset, and we explain to them that we're just upset because we're feeling sad, just like what they do, and we allow them to express their own grief in however they want to. So we get creative and things like that, and it's usually a beautiful experience. I've got some information on my website about activities that you can do with your children, and also one thing in particular, which is I like to call it a peaceful visualization for children, and it's for children that if they're really upset, if they're really emotionally distraught, it's about calming them down and then visualizing their sibling in a beautiful place, and I find that has really helped with my girls. So yeah, Natalie, I'll give it over to you if you want us to say anything.
Yeah, and we discussed that before, Carly. I think one of the important things is to find a balance between being real yourself as a parent and honoring the needs that you have, be it to be emotionally open or not wanting to overwhelm your child, and also managing in that doing the best for your child. And I use the analogy often of the plane, where they say, put your own mask on first and then assist the child. And
absolutely.
What you were saying, Carly, reflects that it is, getting the help that you need to feel comfortable. I'm in a good place, so I can assist my child. And the reality of that, we're in this human experience. That means we have emotions and we live them, and we sometimes are better and sometimes less good equipped at dealing with them or managing them. And I speak for myself. I can be quite upset at things, more angry than sad. And my child 3, she can tell exactly what's going on. Sometimes even before I fully am mindful that this is what's happening, she will ask, "Mommy, are you upset?" And that reminds me, that brings it back to me to say, okay, where am I, and what do I want to do about it, and how long do I want to stay like that? There's ways to move with it, and sometimes you need to be with that. So let's say a sadness, and sometimes it's a way to ask yourself, where can I put that, park that, and attend to it later? So with that, I don't mean avoid it or neglect it or say it's not there, but actually asking yourself in the moment, what can I do right now? What do I need? Do I need to attend it right now? Or well, no, I am in this situation now, and there's a parents' evening, and I just wanted to be the parent here, and I'm going to deal with that later. And that's a really individual thing, and that's where, you know, help comes in. And I want to put a caveat on that. Being a therapist myself, I want to encourage each and every parent to ask themselves, is whatever I'm discussing with let's say the therapist or the help, whatever help, the social worker or whoever they find help with, the priest, is that resonating with me? You know, not to take whatever someone else is saying as gospel and just do whatever they're saying because they are a doctor or a therapist or a priest or whatever, but check in with yourself and say, does that fit with me? And you get a sense if you practice listening to yourself and find out, yes, that aligns with me, or no, actually it might be a suggestion good for someone else, but it doesn't fit with me and my child.
Yeah, I think what you said about, you know, you used the analogy of being on the plane and fitting yourself with the oxygen mask first. I think that's really powerful because, like you said with your daughter, I mean, I know she can speak 2 languages already, so your daughter's pretty amazing. But before they can talk, the way I don't know, but I imagine the way that they communicate is through feeling and emotion and the way that their parents are. So they do pick up on a lot. So whatever we're going through, they're going to kind of experience as well. Like, I kind of think of it as, you know, babies in the womb they're affected by your own stress levels. So I think it's super important that we ourselves make sure that we take care of ourselves, because if we're not putting any focus onto ourselves and we just let ourselves fall apart, that's going to, you know, we're going to push that on our own children. One thing that I wanted to speak about quickly, I won't go into too much detail because I could probably speak about it for an hour, is I get a lot of people emailing me about how they can explain the process of cremation and burial to their child. Obviously, it's usually just one or the other. I've written an article on how I have explained the process of cremation to my children, and that's up on Still Standing magazine. So I might put a link. A few people were asking for it the other day, so I'll put a link up under this video for that. But I had the presence of mind to plan this in my head before the conversation actually came up, and I'm really glad that I did. And I was honest with them about the process of cremation, but I used gentle language. And when you use gentle language, you can still tell the truth without it being so raw and harsh. But I'm also about to write one on how to explain a burial to a child without horrifying them. So I'll let everyone know when that's up. Natalie, I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, what you said reminded me of the fact of seeing it as a continuum, meaning the younger a child is, the less detail they need and are able to process. The older a child gets, the more knowledge they can process and they deserve to know. So it is, and look at the excerpt that I've shared. It is to measure that on your own child and on the maturity that they have, what they can digest and want to know and need to know. So, you know, to be mindful, you know, there might be certain questions that they ask and an adult answer would be really graphic and they might actually not be able to deal with that. So it is to be mindful as well, how much is it my need as a parent to say it to someone or to my child, and what is really the child's receptiveness and ability to deal with that. And what I use often as a way to teach someone to decide whether a truth needs to be told is there's 3 questions. It is, the first one is it absolutely true? And I mean, in might be saying, yes, of course this is true. And the second question is it the right time to tell? And then the third question is what I'm telling beneficial to the hearer, to the listener, sorry. And so with those 3 questions, and I might write them down in the 10 things about article that I usually write after the grief reflection, to really ask yourself, is it true? Is it the right time to tell? And is it beneficial to the listener, so to my child, what I need to say? And if there is a no to any one of those questions or multiples, then I suggest to postpone it or to reflect on it again before sharing it. So, we don't want to give clear answers also, yes, you should tell or not, because it's really a personal thing, whether or what you share with your children. But to be reflective on that, just like you were describing in your recent article in Still Standing magazine about investigating your grief. I think the same applies to investigating your conversations with your child, or your need for conversations.
Yeah, I think it involves a lot of thought. You have to put a lot of thought behind these things and even plan them out. One thing that comes to mind is that if you have a partner, to have that discussion with your partner about different things that are going to come up that your child might ask you, like, why did this happen, or what happened to their body afterwards, or where are they now? I think it's probably a really good idea that you have a conversation with your partner so that you can come up with the same answer for them. Because if you've got your children asking different people and they're getting all these different answers, that can be really confusing for a young child. Another thing that I wanted to mention is books, and I think, Natalie, you were going to share a book as well. But this is specifically books for children, and I have a list on my website that you'll be able to get the link from. But there's some really great books out there, and children love books, and we've got quite a few children's books that have to do with the death of the baby, and my girls just love them. So go to my website and grab the list and get yourself a book. Even maybe let your child choose the book, which one they'd like to get. That might help as well. But Natalie, I'll give it back to you.
Yeah. And what you're saying is absolutely true. I mean, children at any age benefit a lot from stories and metaphors around any topic, and specifically death in our case. And there's different books for different ages that talk about it in a way that makes sense to a child. And one of the things to be reminded is that the child takes on a lot of what you're saying or how you're saying it, and that can happen very quickly. So, I read certain comments of people saying, I really know my son misses their sibling. And at a younger age, at a later age, they might actually be able to verbalize that. And at a younger age, when they're not, there might be signs that the parent sees that they interpret as a missing. Well, the truth is, we don't really know. Even if a child is verbalizing it, and as I was saying to Carly in an example before, my daughter picked up one word that I said once and used it afterwards for a number of occasions where I wasn't even showing that specific emotions. And so it is for me to be mindful of, okay, what I'm saying and how I'm saying it can be just like planting a seed in a child that they afterwards reflect on a lot. So one of the books that I'd love to recommend for the parent in general about how to coach their child on an emotional level. It's called Raising an Emotionally Intelligent Child, and it's by John Gottman. I'll just show that so that people can see what it looks like. And in that, John Gottman, which is a relationship expert, and his expertise is based on 40 years of scientific research, not just his thought and his ideas and models. He's talking about how to, it's the heart of parenting, how to teach and educate and help your child deal with emotions. And it has really good topics in here on how to be with that. And that can be applied to helping your child through grief.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I love the front cover, all those little smiling faces, so beautiful. And I was going to say something now and it just went straight out of my mind. Oh no, I got it. One thing that I think like above everything, is that children need to feel secure and they need to feel safe. So as much as it's hard to keep to any sort of routine, let alone going through grief and keeping a routine, if you had a routine before your child died and you have young children, try as hard as possible to keep that routine and kind of keep that normal sort of, if you can keep a routine that they're used to, that will help. I found that helped with us. And children they just want to feel loved and safe. So as much as we can't guarantee anything in life here, but young kids, you can make sure that they feel safe, and you can tell them that they're safe with you and that you love them, and you need to show that to them as well. So, a hug solves a lot of problems for me. So, and I know that my girls, when they're upset, they always want a hug. So, a lot of physical affection, it goes a long way. And it's a very intense emotional time for everyone. So you have to try and fit as much love in there as possible, and so that your children feel, they just need to feel secure and safe. And if they have that, then they'll feel that they can open up and speak about how they're feeling. I think it's really important to verbalize that, to tell your children that however they're feeling is okay. It doesn't matter what they're feeling, that it's okay, and that you'll be able to get through it all together. I think that's really important. But for me, we haven't actually seen anyone professionally to help our girls, because they have been amazingly strong through it, and they're more curious about grief, like myself, which is, it's kind of funny that way. They're more curious, they have a lot of questions, and sometimes they do get upset, and I just give them a hug and I say, it's sad. And Scarlett, she says to me, every few weeks, I really wish I had a brother here, because it'd be a lot of fun and we could do this. And I said, I really wish that we could give that to you as well. And that's when all the questions start. So it's okay to say you don't know. I tell her what I believe. And for us as a family, us personally, we believe that there is a divine intelligence, and that his spirit is alive, even though he's not physically with us, that we will get to see him again. So that does make it easier to explain that to a child. You give them that hope. But if you're raising a child and you're atheist, you don't believe in any sort of afterlife, that I understand that is difficult. And a friend of mine, she explains sort of to her children, it's all about the earth and about how her son was buried and now he's become a part of the earth. And then she explains it in this most beautiful way. And now her child says, my brother helps the flowers to grow and he's in the trees, and it's just this most beautiful. I'll have to write about it. I'll have to speak to her and find out the exact story that she tells. It's super beautiful. And so you can speak to your children that way as well.
Yeah, I think it's the main thing is about being honest with yourself and finding whatever works for you and what you want to give to your child from that. And what you were saying, just maybe to sum this up, reminded me that when I was pregnant, because we found out during the pregnancy that Amaya's chance of survival was in question. I started to grieve during that time already, as well as in my case, my mother's first suicide attempt was at the same time. So this is being real. Yes, I had this challenge going on, and I had these babies inside of me. So then there's no point in pretending it's not there, or always wanting to be happy, because children will learn how to deal with emotions. It's being real, and also being mindful of what can I do to take care of myself, and what that means for me. And now that after they were born, and having heard is looking after myself, which sometimes means taking myself away and giving myself some time out, and not being with an undermay, but in a way to look after myself. So also one thing we haven't mentioned, just to make that round, is that older children can also show a lot of acting out, and knowing that this is normal. I mean, as you were saying, younger children, might be clinging or might need a lot of nurturing. Older children can act out, can have problems in school as an effect of that, or become depressed even. So it is really important to look at the whole spectrum and ask the question: is that potentially in relation to grief? Not obviously ask your child, but just have that question there. How could that be related, if at all? If it is not, look further. And to find the support that you need, that is beneficial to you. Is there anything that you wanted to add to this, Carly, or do you feel we've rounded the topic?
I think right now I can't think of anything, but I know in about 15 minutes I will think of something once this is all over. I'll be like, why didn't I say it then?
And what we're doing after this is...
Oh, you know what? There was something else, Natalie, and that was, I was going to say, it'd be great. People are welcome to share their experiences with us, and, and also ask it, like, we're more than happy to answer questions as well, aren't we, on the event page or over at the Grieving Networks. Sorry, I'm tired. The Grieving Parents Network website. So, yeah, because there's quite a few different things that we've got to share after this with different information and articles and whatever. But, if we didn't actually get to something in this conversation, and I'm sure there are things that we didn't get to, Natalie, because we could probably speak about this for days. But please, feel welcome to ask our thoughts, and we also invite everyone else to jump in as well. This is not just about Natalie and I, as much as we sometimes probably think it is. No, we really want to invite everyone to contribute here. So it'd be amazing if we could all do this in person. Wouldn't that be beautiful, Natalie?
Yeah.
Rather than over the internet, if we could all just come together and catch up for a cup of tea and. But this is the second best thing, and we love coming to be here. So please let us know what your thoughts are, and yeah, I'll let you close it all up, Natalie.
Yeah, and as Carly were saying, there's comments happening on grievingparents.net about different topics we should discuss, and this topic has come out of your desire to have us discuss this topic. So please, add other things that you want to have discussed, and if there's other things that you've noticed with your children that we haven't discussed that you think might be helpful for someone else, post it publicly or anonymously, however you choose. I always make a post afterwards, 10 things about the topic we discussed, so I will write it up as well, and it will appear on the blog on grievingparents.net, and we'll put the links of the different things we discussed underneath the video on grievingparents.net. So if you like that episode, please click like and share it with anyone that you think might be that it might be beneficial for. And yeah, if you want to know more about what we're doing and be informed about the next episode, you're welcome to sign up for email updates on grievingparents.net. And yeah, keep reflecting on your journey and let us know how you're going, because the world needs to understand and be educated about how to deal with grief and get the support for the grieving and for each other. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a beautiful day, evening, night.
Thanks, Natalie. Bye, everyone.
Bye.